Does our love of violence in video games say that violence or antisocial behavior is part of human nature? I think we have to be careful about antisocial behavior and linking that necessarily with violence, because they're not necessarily always connected.
No, not at all.
I will say this about obviously humans are an aggressive species. We do a lot of violent stuff, so at some level that is ingrained in us. It has to be, for all the bad things we've done. We're only human species, or only animal species that really likes hurting each other, and can do it widespread for pleasure. Other animal species don't do that.
Right.
I think some of the higher primates do conduct war against each other. They do see chimpanzees have like tribes that fight each other, but again, that's like higher, primates and humans. That's really where it ends. You don't have dolphin families killing each other for fun. Doesn't have, or over territory. There's no rhyme or reason to how humans like to hurt each other. So does that connect to a love of violence in video games? I guess on some physiological level, I guess it does. I mean, it's like anything else. It's like any other sort of outlet. You have to have some sort of primal need for it, or else why else would you like it? If that makes any sense.
Sure. I mean,
is that too simple? I don't know.
It's a Q&A question, so it's allowed to be simple.
Should I start referencing journals?
I really don't. I don't really myself feel that aggressive, but I realize that there are definitely aggressive. There are times where I definitely do feel aggressive. I would also echo Pat's sentiment that you need to separate violence and antisocial. I do not always feel the most social, but I'm not a violent person. I haven't been in a fight since middle school. But I do love things like fighting games.
I want to hear about your fight sometime. Okay, go on.
I do love things like fighting games.
Yeah, sure.
And watching wrestling. And these are all false forms of violence,
sure.
And I don't...
Football is like a gladiatorial sport.
That's too much for me to watch.
But I'm saying that's the same thing.
But yeah, it's the same thing.
It feeds a need.
And I play Street Fighter and I play King of Fighters. Why? Because there's a thrill to a fight and seeing who's going to win, and it's fake. And people always ask me why I watch wrestling as opposed to UFC, and my answer is because with wrestling, I know it's scripted, and if someone gets hurt, it's an accident, but you still get the visceral thrill of watching a one-on-one competition that is a fight. And because of wrestling is scripted, you get a couple big spots, and you get some showboating and stuff like that. Watching real people fight, like UFC, for me, I'm not interested in it. But there is still the need for me to see that. To see a facsimile of that.
Well, there's different reasons why. I don't want to get into it. I do enjoy mixed martial arts watching. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I do like watching it to analyze it. There is a lot of obviously physicality, but there is a lot of strategy involved.
I would never doubt
and things like that. And
I deny that.
I like analyzing stuff like that. It's not just watching. It's not just to me. It's not just watching it to see someone get knocked out. It's watching to see how one person takes control of the action. The movement involved. There's actually thinking involved.
I'm sure.
The best fighters are intelligent. The best fighters are not just brutes.
No, and that's never. That was not my. No,
I'm just saying
to insinuate that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why I watch wrestling. And like I said, fighting games. Obviously, we like some form of violence. I even play the occasional first-person shooter, but I don't think. I don't think there's an overall love of violence in video games. If you look at my video game collection, a lot of my video game collection is weird, cutesy bullshit.
Sure. Well, we'll bring this back to the fact that, yes, it's the same thing like any other entertainment. A lot of the most successful movies have tons of violence in them. All the superhero movies are extremely violent. People getting hurt and killed, and you don't bat an eye. And I've seen movies rated PG-13 where people get shot in the head and wondering, like, what the hell kids are allowed to see? It's violence is a part of our nature. That's basically what it is.
This could go on for a long time, but we'll just.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
If not, if violence wasn't a part of our nature, we wouldn't constantly be at war with each other.